Hello, everyone. My name is Rosebel Aspilcueta, and I am presenting about an interesting topic that hits close to home for me, and that is the topic of video games and who is responsible for making sure excessive video game play does not skew its players into behaving more unethically or changing their behavior in some negative way. Does that responsibility fall on the developers or more on the players? We will just have to find out. For most of us, if not all, most of us, if not all, recognize video games as a favorite pastime of people's lives. They mainly serve as a source of entertainment for those who want to de-stress from the day, bond with the people they play games with, or simply enjoy it as a hobby. Not only that, but games can also be educational in nature as well. Any way you slice it, video games are a large part of society today. And depending on which games are your main focus, they may have some effect on you and your behavior. There are studies that have in fact shown that playing very violent and graphic video games can have more aggressive tendencies than people who do not play those games. As I said in the last slide, certain kinds of games, namely the more violent and graphic ones, may have an actual effect on the players. There are many factors that can influence this, like the design of the game and the characters, along with the content and intention of the game. Some games even reward bad behavior. For example, in some role-playing games where you have the ability to make choices, the players themselves may have all the intention in the world to make good and ethical choices, but the game actually might reward bad behavior with bonus points or stat boosts and things of that nature. Now, whose responsibility is it to ensure that the minds of young people aren't negatively impacted, namely children? Everyone seems to want to place blame on one single source, whether it is the individual player or the video game companies and developers. On one hand, game developers have a legal responsibility to follow a certain set of rules set in place by the Entertainment Software Rating Board, or ESRB. This allows the games they make to be appropriately classified according to the audience the developers are trying to sell to. The ESRB rates the games to make sure they are true to their advertisement in regards to age-appropriate content. Game developers must abide by these rules. Not only that, but it would just not be ethically or morally right for game developers to encourage harm, racism, sexism, and other generally just really bad negative behaviors. However, some people, most people I guess, argue that games, just like any other form of media, is, an expression of self. It should be certainly considered a form of art. Restricting art is a slippery slope, and the freedom to express oneself, as long as it does, not cause physical or emotional harm, is an important part of what makes this country worth living in. Now, on the other hand, placing blame solely on the developers is unfair, since the potential negative effects of violent video games do not harm adults as much as it would children. In this case, the responsibility would lie with the parents. These days, it's a lot easier to access all sorts of inappropriate content. So restricting potentially harmful stuff is a lot more difficult. However, parents and guardians still need to at least do their part in trying to prevent exposure to the wrong kinds of things. Even if they do watch some inappropriate content, which they will, kids will always find a way. Kids and teens should not be made or should be made aware of how to not be influenced by the things they see or the things they play. That is arguably more important than restricting anything. So in conclusion, basically, to sum up this presentation, no side is completely at fault or responsible on their own, essentially. It is true that game developers should try to create games that do not conjure up harmful effects to those who play them, but it is also true that parents have the responsibility to teach their children right from wrong, and also to not be negatively influenced by the things they interact with. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Once again, my name is Rosebel Azpilicueta, and thank you for your time.